Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Welcome everyone to the Pantheon of M. I'm your host Ray,
And I'm Evy.
and today we're looking at Return of the Cape Crusader. Evy, break us down. What is the show about?
Gotham, it turns out fine, but then it goes on its head because things don't seem, they seem upside down. Like people, like Batman and Robin, something happens which is interesting and makes Gotham weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to say why, but it's interesting.
Well, the beauty of this, okay, so the series came out in 1966. The movie was released in 2016. So it's been 50 years, 50-year anniversary of the release of the TV series when they do this movie. So in essence, Burt Ward and Adam West, who reprises their role as a dynamic duo, has had literally 47 years to think about what to do on this cartoon, to contribute to like what things could they not address, or as times, because they've seen the Adam West, they've seen the Michael Keaton Batman, they've seen or heard about the Christopher Nolan Batman, the Val Kilmer version of it, the George Clooney version, and then of course all these stuff that's been going. The MCU has been already out now. They were extremely self-aware of what it was back then, and having an opportunity over the years to tweak it or to acknowledge the things about this movie or about the series that maybe bothered them or they wanted some sort of resolution for because they couldn't do it in the actual series. They were able to do it here. So as a fan who grew up watching the TV series, they very wisely acknowledge a lot of the things in the series that if you watch the series, you're like, I don't, how are you like getting away with this? This is just crazy. And it's like a wink to the audience. They are very self-aware of the pitfalls of the series, or things that were never tied up, or things that were never spoken about. And for the fans and those who watched this, and for those who watched it, you were rewarded almost on every single second of this frame. There was something in it that was wisely put together to acknowledge the humongous fan base that was for the 60 series.
Wow.
Okay.
You there?
I'm still there. So I'll dig a little further, but I won't, as you say, I won't give away too many things. I'll just set up. Okay. I'll set up the questions sort of what they're trying to accomplish. Well, in the series, Batman had no equal, and he was the smartest guy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Chief O'Hara, Commissioner Gordon, Robin himself. Sometimes and none of the villains can really outsmart him. I mean, he understood. He was the greatest detective on earth. And then you get these clues. The Riddler would give him these clues, and then Batman and Robin would go through these clues, try to figure it out, and go from point A to point Z in like 13 seconds, and everyone else is just stumbling there. Like, how do you get from peanut butter to the Gotham Museum of Natural History and Art that had on the third day of each month? Like, how they get from one point to the other point it's just baffling. Mm-hmm. But they make it seem so like they're so cool, and that's the thing they do the best. That's what they're good at. And until you're an adult, you realize this is bonkers. This is straight up madness, crazy stuff that's going on. But in that same tone, so Batman had no equal. They realized the only person who can like be his equal will be himself. So mm-hmm. they actually had to pit Batman versus Batman in a way that like man versus himself. That's the only villain left, right? Like that's the only. You can't really outsmart yourself if you're your own worst enemy,
right?
If that makes any sense to anybody.
Yeah.
So they give you that Freudian logic in this movie, and I think that was really cool. Now, as you're saying, the place goes kind of, what was your word? It goes kind of crazy. The town goes kind of nuts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in that process, Yeah, the movie goes on a wild journey unto itself. Um,
Cool.
what did you think of the dialogue? Because you know how this, like how he has your felonious villains, like he's over descriptive in how he describes everybody, like how he talks.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Very, I don't know, not really cursing or anything.
Mhm.
Different language, like somebody who doesn't want to swear.
Yeah, it caters really to the PG-13 audience, or
Yeah.
just PG. Sorry, not 13. Uh, Aunt Harriet, it's great because they acknowledge her, because she
Hmm.
was a woman who was living with them, and you would think like after so many years, you know,
Right.
like you think she might have an idea what was going on. They sort of hint to that,
Hmm.
so they really play up on a lot of like possibilities of what the series should have could have gone into or further explored,
Hmm.
and it was really nice. And and seeing him get angry for the first time, and then the world of Gotham City, a little bit more sophisticated, not too cartoony. It was really good, but yet they keep all the same kind of like trope, like the car, the parachute, for the braking and all that stuff. So, the bat bazooka and the bat spray and knockout
Yeah.
gas and bat cuffs and bat barricade, like all the stuff that they had in the series, they brought it out. So it was great. It was great. And they even showed you the Batusi, and when him holding the giant like bomb over his head in the cartoon near the end, like
Yeah.
which kind of gives hints to the 60s movie. So there's a lot of throwbacks to the past. Even the three Catwomans who played Catwoman, Eartha Kitt, Julie Newmar, and Lee
Hmm.
Merriweather. There's a scene where they actually acknowledge that there were three different Catwomen at one point. So
Hmm.
the cartoon film, they took the time. And I could appreciate this, to acknowledge all the little nooks and crannies of the show that fans grew up watching, where there was Egghead, Bookworm, Shane, um, False Face, King Tut, like all the villains from the past
Hmm.
had a cameo in this. What were your thoughts? Like,
Cool.
what were your thoughts? And was there any cameos that you saw that was, oh, you remember this character from back in the day?
Yeah, definitely. Was really good. Really fun. Fun to see. I was thinking, has Batman and Robin gone crazy with what they've done? I couldn't believe it. Like, what would cause them to do this?
Oh, well, no, the funny thing is, they can actually explain to you, it was drugs. You got
Oh, okay.
they were drugs.
Yeah, they were.
They were drugs.
Yeah, they were.
It took drugs for them to go crazy.
Yep.
It was actually Batman was high on something.
Hmm. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, sorry. Only because you brought it up that it actually hit me in the wrong way. I'm like, oh yeah, he was on something. Batman goes crazy because he's on drugs.
Mm.
And there,
Yeah, that was cool.
yeah. And because the
It was
irony
cool.
was like, because he's like, well, because they were saying right before he's on drugs, he goes, well, we're coming after these criminals, but we got to cross at the crossing walk. So you got,
Mm.
like, he's so straight laced, like you got to do everything by the book, and have his seatbelt on and do this right and do this right and cross at the
Mhm.
crossing walk because we're deputized citizens of the police, whatever it is. And then he gets a stroke of like drugs on his system, and then all things are out the window.
Yeah, really cool. How come I would have liked to see more villains that have no that will there be any other villains to do that?
Well, it's a good thing you brought this up. Well, first, to answer the first part of the question, the villains. Yeah, I think they try to get as much villains in the Prison Break. That was the thing. There's a Prison Break in this, so the best way to give cameos to every villain in the past, whether it's Shame, False Face, Tut, Egghead, Bookworm. Um, I can't remember how many other villains there were. Even the Goon, like a henchman that were part of Catwoman's henchmen or the Riddler's henchmen or what have you. They even had the Siren. Is her name Siren?
Mhm.
The one was played by Joan Collins.
Oh yeah.
So they had I think I don't think they have the London Fog, like the Fog, the Mistress Fog or whatever it is from the past. From that was a Batgirl crossover one. But they had almost every villain. Louis the Lilac they had. So yeah, they had almost. I think they had every major villain in this series appear from the Prison Break.
Mhm.
Batman and Robin had a fight in
Oh
one of
yeah.
those sequences. So
Yep.
I think they did a callback to everybody. I mean, no one spoke because they're fighting, but you get a visual sense of everything. And they do a hint of that ray gun that was used at the UN in the
Mhm.
finale of the television movie, like the actual
Yep.
60s movie. So there's a throwback to
Oh,
that.
cool.
So if you're a fan of every single episode, and if you're a fan of the movie, there's something in it to acknowledge for the fan base. Um, as for the other part of your question, there was never going to be a second one. And Adam West passed away a year later. He had leukemia. He was dying of cancer, blood cancer.
Oh.
So, but they knew, Burt Ward and of course Adam West and his family knew that he was at the end of his tenure as Batman, or but he was servicing the fan. Like he went on a world tour with Burt Ward to go into every single Comic-Con to say hello to the fans like one last time. And as a result, I was kind of grateful that I was able to go to the Toronto's Comic-Con, his last time ever. So I recorded some of the Q&A with Adam West and Burt Ward. So I'm gonna put that in the audio version of the podcast. I have like maybe 7 different sound bites, so I'm not sure which one I'll use. So if you're listening to the audio version, whether it's on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you'll be able to hear it. I'll make sure I'll have something in place of that. Cool. But yeah, so this was going to be the last one, and I think because of that, they wanted to make sure that everything maybe could be addressed. There's even the sequence with Jill St. John where she dies in the nuclear power generator. So they did a tribute to that with a scene with Catwoman and Robin. So they really played up on every single nook and cranny of acknowledging the past in this. So I was impressed by it, and as a fan or as a non-fan of the series, if you've never seen it, there's so much going on and it's catered to you in such a simplistic way that if you had no backstory knowledge of where the source material is on said scene, you'd still enjoy it. Like you don't have to know the history of the series or of the television or of the movie or of the villains in this to appreciate what you're watching, and that is extraordinary. You can watch this with clean eyes or fresh pair of eyes and love it, and you can watch this as a fan growing up with it and love it, or even a fan or someone who saw a couple episodes and still enjoy what you're seeing. And for young and old, because of the way it's drawn and the way it caters to the ones who are familiar with it, you're going to have a really nice cross section of past and present, old and young, who should enjoy this.
Wow, cool.
And it is extremely family friendly, and there are innuendos between Catwoman and him, and there are so many stuff that's in there that's still kind of like subversive, and it still manages to do it all and do it well. So cool. So with that, I'll end this off. I will say I'm Ray.
I'm Evy.
We'll see you next time. Take care.